Chapter 34-38. The ninth transformation of the primordial divine body wasn't the end. It was just the peak of the initial stage. There was still a long way to go because even if one cultivated to the ninth transformation, there was still a huge gap between them and the primordial divine spirit. The primordial divine body was said to be able to transform into a primordial divine spirit when cultivated to the peak. Therefore, there was still a path after the ninth transformation. It was said that as long as one could cross it, they could even condense the blood of the primordial divine spirit, which was known as the primordial divine blood. However, it was extremely difficult to cross this step. It was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. Even an unparalleled genius would find it difficult to cross this step. Once they did, they would obtain boundless power, and their combat power would increase tremendously. However, Lu Ming was already satisfied with cultivating to the ninth transformation. At this moment he felt that his body was filled with boundless power. Also, the cultivation conditions here are too good. Comprehending the origin divine power factor and origin secret techniques here is shockingly fast. Lu Ming exclaimed. Previously, during the process of the primitive god body's transformation, he had already felt that comprehending the origin's divine power and the origin's secret techniques here would speed up his progress by leaps and bounds. It wasn't something the primitive god statue could compare to. This was the place where the primordial divine spirit was born. Although the primordial divine spirit that was born here might control the primordial divine power, it might be different from Lu Ming's cultivation. However, the primordial divine spirit's essence was the same. They were all born from the primordial era and the universe. Comprehending the essence was useful for all kinds of divine power. However, I am going out now. I will come back to cultivate in the future. Lu Ming muttered. He had been here for a few days and was worried about the Dragon League. Manku would definitely not let the Dragon League off. Lu Ming could only pray that Manku and the others were collecting the primordial divine crystals and didn't have time to deal with the Dragon League. However, a few days had passed and no one knew what would happen. With a thought, Lu Ming's body quickly shrunk to the size of a normal person. He then rushed up to the sky. The cave that was broken by the primordial divine chi was still there. This kind of cave would slowly disappear as time passed. Of course, it wouldn't be a short period of time. In the past, Fengyan Mountain had also experienced divine energy outbursts. After rushing out of such gaps, the divine energy would automatically disappear. Soon Lu Ming rushed up hundreds of thousands of meters. At this point, the terrifying pressure disappeared. Lu Ming put away the purple copper coffin and used the Nine Heavens Kuanpeng technique to transform into a Kuanpeng and soared up. Not long after, he finally saw the gap, and light shone in. Manku, I hope you haven't done anything yet. Lu Ming's eyes flashed with a cold light. He rushed out of the cave and soared into the sky. As expected, there were still people in the vicinity of the gap. However, there weren't many of them, only about 100 or so, guarding the area. There were also people from the Berserker tribe among them, but Manku and the others were not there. When these people suddenly saw a person rush out of the gap, they were almost scared to death. They were so shocked that they were dumbstruck. There were actually creatures rushing out from within the famed mountains. What was going on? However, when they saw the person who rushed out, they were even more shocked. Lu Ming, it's Lu Ming. How is that possible? Wasn't he blasted into the famed mountains? How is he still alive? Send a voice transmission to the Alliance leader. These people exclaimed. Some of them even took out their voice transmission jade talismans to send a voice transmission. Whoosh. Lu Ming rushed over and pressed his hand down. A huge palm was formed and pressed down on these people. These people did not care about sending voice transmissions. They attacked one after another, but they were too far away from Lu Ming. Under the pressure of the huge palm, these people coughed out blood and retreated with pale faces. Divine Dragon Dharma form. Lu Ming shouted and pushed his hands forward. 99 nine-clawed dragons appeared and rushed in all directions. Then over 100 explosions sounded. Over 100 people from the Barbarian Alliance coughed out blood and were severely injured. Then Lu Ming used the ice chains to bind these people and freeze them. Tell me, where is Manku? Lu Ming asked coldly. These people were pale. Don't even think about it. A barbarian shouted. Poof! Lu Ming flicked his finger, and a spear light flew out and pierced the barbarian's glabella, killing him. I'll tell you, I'll tell you. Immediately someone shouted. Not all of them were barbarians. Most of them were prodigies from other races. They were not loyal to Manku. When they saw Lu Ming's ruthlessness, they immediately told him everything. Manku led his men to the Dragon Alliance's base. The young man shouted. What? Damn it, when did that happen? Lu Ming shouted. He left not long ago. It was less than an hour ago, the young man said. Only an hour. Fortunately, we should be able to make it in time. Lu Ming was slightly relieved. Then he waved his hand and spear light shot out, killing all the barbarians present. As for the prodigies from other races, Lu Ming did not kill them. He had no enmity with them. After killing the barbarians, Lu Ming rushed to the sky and rushed toward Fengyan Mountain, toward the Dragon Alliance's base. Seeing Lu Ming leave, the surviving prodigies heaved a sigh of relief. However, they were still sealed by the ice chains. If they did not suffer, they would not be able to escape. Outside the valley of the Dragon Alliance's headquarters, there was a sea of people. The valley was surrounded by Manku and his men. Bo-E and the rest of the Dragon Alliance were hiding in the valley, relying on the valley's formation to resist. You think you can stop me with just a formation like this? Naive. Manku transformed into his 100,000-meter-tall barbarian god body. He wielded his bronze sword and kept slashing at the formation outside the valley. At the same time, Lin Xian and the other two vice mountain masters of Qitong Mountain were beside Manku. They looked on coldly. Boom, boom, boom. The formation kept shaking. Finally, it could not hold on any longer. Cracks appeared on it, and it finally exploded with a bang. After breaking the formation, Manku stopped. He looked down at Bo-E and the rest coldly. Lu Ming is already dead, and you still want to fight back? You don't know your own strength. Bo-E and the rest were pale. It seemed that the Dragon Alliance could not be saved. I'm willing to surrender. I'm willing to surrender too. Many people in the Dragon Alliance shouted. This was normal. Many prodigies joined the Dragon Alliance only as a cooperative relationship. They handed over the origin divine crystals, and they would receive a portion of them. This world operated by such rules. There was no such thing as loyalty. They were only in this world to cultivate. Once they succeeded in their cultivation, they would leave this world and return to their original world in the primitive universe. I surrender too. Many people in the Dragon Alliance shouted their surrender. Bo-E and the other vice leader of the Dragon Alliance had ugly expressions. They were defeated by Manku last time, but they did not surrender. This time they would not surrender either. Chapter 34-39. Manku sneered as he looked at the members of the Dragon League. After a while he said, You can surrender if you want to. Kill the two of them and you can surrender. Then Manku pointed at Bo-E and the other vice leader of the Dragon League. What? Kill the two of them and you will surrender? The other members of the Dragon League were shocked. That's right. Kill the two of them, and I will reward you handsomely. Otherwise, don't even think about surrendering. Today, you will all be buried with Lu Ming. Manku's eyes flashed with killing intent and madness. You. How dare you? I am the prince of the Heavenly Saint dynasty from the primitive universe. If you dare to kill me, the barbarian race will be annihilated. One of the young men shouted. Hee, don't try to scare me with your identity. If I kill you, the people of the Heavenly Saint dynasty won't know. Moreover, killing is a common thing here. If you are killed, the Heavenly Saint dynasty will attack the other forces. Wouldn't that be a joke? The other forces will laugh at you. Manku sneered. The young man's face turned pale. Indeed. In this world, there were many prodigies from different forces who were constantly killing each other. Every day, there would be people dying in battle. If they all went to seek revenge, the universe would be in chaos. Kill the two of them and you can live. You will also be rewarded. Manku sneered. Many people's eyes lit up as they stared at Bo-E and the other vice leader with killing intent. Bo-E and the other vice leaders' faces changed. Manku, don't use this method to humiliate us. Bo-E shouted. I want to humiliate you. What's wrong with that? Manku sneered. He was extremely unhappy with Bo-yi and the other vice leader. Last time, they didn't submit to him and chose to submit to Lu Ming. He could let the others go, but not Bo-yi and the other vice leader. "Man-ku, let's fight to the death." Bo-yi roared, and his body soared into the sky. He transformed into his ancient god body and charged at Man-ku. The other Vice Alliance leader did the same and charged toward Man-ku. They would rather die in battle than be surrounded by the other members of the Dragon League. That would be a great humiliation. The two of them used their full strength and planned to fight to the death with Man-ku. "You overestimate yourself," Man-ku said coldly. He opened his mouth, and the white bone flew out, emitting a terrifying roar. Instantly, Bo-yi and the young man's souls were attacked, and their bodies trembled. Whoosh! Whoosh! Man-ku's bronze sword slashed towards the two of them. The two of them weren't as strong as Man-ku to begin with, and with their souls affected, they were sent flying. Following that, Man-ku slashed out 2 more times, slashing at Bo-yi's 2 disciples. Bo-yi's 2 disciples let out a muffled groan as they fell to the ground, a deep sword wound appearing on their bodies. Man-ku didn't continue to kill Bo-yi and the other person. Instead, he looked at the people from the Dragon Alliance and said, "What are you waiting for? Kill those 2. The eyes of even more Dragon Alliance members lit up. Now that Bo-yi and Yi Shiwen were injured, killing them would be even easier. Many people were tempted. "Man-ku, I'll fight you to the death," Bo-yi roared. He erupted with all his strength and was about to charge forward to fight Man-ku. "Bo-yi, leave this to me." At this moment, a voice came from the sky. The voice was clear but abnormally cold, filled with cold killing intent. Hearing this voice, Bo-yi and Yi Shiwen's bodies trembled. Then, they revealed an excited expression as they looked towards the sky. The other people from the Dragon Alliance were also shocked. "This is the Alliance Master's voice?" "It's the Alliance Master's voice," many people from the Dragon Alliance exclaimed. "How is this possible?" Man-ku was also shocked. He was too familiar with Lu Ming's voice. He would never forget it for the rest of his life. But wasn't Lu Ming dead? How could he appear? Man-ku raised his head and looked towards the sky. In the sky, a young man stood there, looking at them coldly. If it wasn't Lu Ming, who else could it be? At the same time, Qi Tongshan and the other 2 Vice Mountain Lords also looked towards Lu Ming. "Impossible!" Lin Xian roared. His eyes were filled with disbelief. A few days ago, he had used the 100 Layers Force Pagoda to blast Lu Ming down to the bottom of Fengyan Mountain. How could Lu Ming still be alive? The 100 Layers Force Pagoda was a secret treasure that he had obtained by chance. It was very mysterious. Once it exploded, it would form a gravitational force that would suppress the opponent. Back then, he had used the 100 Layers Force Pagoda to explode, forming the 100 Layers Force Pagoda. He was confident that he could blast Lu Ming down to the bottom of the famed mountain. Lu Ming was just a divine king. How could he still be alive after being blasted to the bottom of the famed mountain? Lin Xian was dumbfounded. He couldn't figure it out at all. Swish! Lu Ming took a step forward and landed in front of Bo-yi and the others. Lu Ming is still alive. The eyes of some people from the Dragon League flickered. They had been prepared to attack Bo-yi and the other Vice Mountain Lord, but now they had given up on the idea and decided to observe the situation. Lu Ming, I have to say that you're really lucky. You didn't die even after that. However, you're too stupid. Since you didn't die, you should find a place to hide. That way, you could have kept your life. I didn't expect you to appear in front of me. Today, I'll turn you into a dead man." Man-ku roared. His eyes were extremely ferocious. "If I don't come out, how can I kill you?" Lu Ming said indifferently. "Kill me? Ha ha ha. It seems like you're not completely fine after being blasted down from the bottom of the famed mountain. You must be out of your mind." Man-ku laughed wildly. He then shouted, "Everyone, let's attack together with me and kill this person. He caused me to lose 100 Layers Force Pagoda. He must die." Lin Xian said coldly. As soon as he finished speaking, his body swelled rapidly. He turned into a golden giant ape with the Qilin battle halberd in his hand. At the same time, the other 2 Vice Mountain Masters of Qi Tongshan also turned into primordial godly bodies. "It seems like you have a primordial godly body, related to the ape race." Just nice. Do you have the secret manual? Lu Ming stared at Lin Xian and asked. So what if I have it? Do you still want my primordial godly body? Ridiculous. Lin Xian retorted. It's good that you have it. Lu Ming showed some joy. As long as he could get the cultivation method of Lin Xian's primordial godly body and the primordial spiritual liquid, the Dark Ape Battle Clan would be able to cultivate. With these, he could even form an invincible army. Why are you talking so much nonsense with him? Kill him. Man Ke shouted. He waved his bronze battle sword and attacked Lu Ming. Roar. Lu Ming let out a roar. His body swelled rapidly and turned into the primordial godly body. In the blink of an eye, he grew to 10,000 meters. However, he did not stop. He only stopped when he was 100,000 meters tall. His whole body was shining silver. Lu Ming displayed the silver-armored ancient godly body. At the same time, Lu Ming's aura skyrocketed. He had already activated the battle character secret manual to increase his fighting strength by 5 times. 1. Chapter 3440. Lu Ming activated his ancient god body to the peak of the silver-armored ancient god body and clashed with Man Ke. There was a loud bang and the two figures that were 100,000 meters tall retreated. This move was evenly matched. Before this, Lu Ming couldn't defeat Man Ke without Qiuqiu's help. He would definitely be at a disadvantage in a head-on clash. But now Lu Ming pushed his ancient god body to the peak of the silver-armored ancient god body. Without Qiuqiu's help, he could fight Man Ke head-on. The 8th transformation of the ancient god body. How is this possible? Man Ke was shocked. Lin Xian and the rest were also shocked. A few days ago, Lu Ming was only at the 7th transformation of the ancient god body. How could he break through to the 8th transformation in just a few days? This speed was too fast. Thanks to you guys sent me into the famed mountain and allowed me to have a fortuitous encounter. My ancient god body broke through smoothly. I still have to thank you guys. Lu Ming said calmly. At the same time, Qiuqiu wriggled and covered Lu Ming's body. Qiuqiu could change its size. Even if Lu Ming became 100,000 meters tall, it could still cover Lu Ming. Not to mention 100,000 meters, it could even cover 1,000,000 meters. To thank you guys, I will send you on your way. Lu Ming's eyes were cold and murderous, like 2 icy pools. Qiuqiu condensed into a battle sword in his hand and Lu Ming held it. Kill. Lu Ming shouted and charged toward Man Ke. Man Ke was shocked. He quickly controlled the white bone and merged it with his body, turning it into a white bone armor. This piece of white bone could only be fused with his body 3 times before it lost its effect. This was already the 3rd time. After using it this time, it would become useless. Man Ke's heart was bleeding, but he couldn't care less. Lu Ming's strength was already so shocking in the past. With Qiuqiu, Lu Ming could be on par with him. In fact, Lu Ming's attack power was even higher than his. Now that his ancient god body had broken through to the 8th transformation, his strength was even more terrifying. He was definitely not a match for Lu Ming. Clang. At the same time, Man Ke quickly retreated. He brandished his bronze sword and clashed with Lu Ming. A terrifying explosion erupted as a berserk chi swept out in all directions. Man Ke's body shook violently, and he almost lost his grip on his bronze battle sword. His huge body retreated like a cannonball. Kill. At this time, Lin Xian's group of 3 had already arrived, attacking Lu Ming. I'll kill you first. Lu Ming's gaze was like lightning. Brandishing his battle sword, he charged at Lin Xian's group of 3. In an instant, 9 sword glows appeared. After a series of explosions, Lin Xian's group of 3 had a change of expression and retreated continuously. The 3 of them joined forces, but were unexpectedly repelled by Lu Ming. After repelling a few people, Lu Ming stared at one person and attacked. It was the 3-headed giant wolf. The 3-headed giant wolf let out a long howl as its 3 mouths continuously spat out terrifying beams of light. However, with Lu Ming's current strength, he had long surpassed it. With a wave of his battle sword, he broke through the beams of light, and his figure rapidly followed up, violently slashing down. Puff. Blood splattered everywhere as the 3-headed giant wolf was slashed horizontally. 2 of his 3 heads were chopped off. A few days ago, One of the three-headed giant wolf's heads had been chopped off by Lu Ming. However, it had recovered in the past few days, but now two of his heads had been chopped off at once. He was severely injured. The three-headed giant wolf retreated in horror, wanting to escape. However, this time, Lu Ming would not let it escape. His 100,000-meter-tall body continued to step in the air. He slashed with his combat sword and the entire void was shrouded by the combat sword. No! The three-headed giant wolf roared in despair. His full resistance was useless. A few days ago, before Lu Ming had broken through, his strength had already surpassed him slightly. Now that he had displayed the 8th transformation of the ancient god body, he was no match for him at all. He could not escape even if he wanted to. His attack and defense could not withstand a single blow. Like paper, they were split apart by Lu Ming's sword. Even his body was split apart. As the three-headed giant wolf roared in despair, his soul was annihilated by the destructive power, and he died completely. A deputy mountain lord of Qi Tongshan had died. At this moment, Lin Xian and Qiuqiu's attacks landed on Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming's body shook, and only Lin Xian managed to break through Qiuqiu's defense. However, after breaking through Qiuqiu's defense, their power was greatly reduced. They could only cut through the silver scales on the surface of Lu Ming's body, leaving only a trace of blood. Tyrannical God Spear! Lu Ming shouted in a low voice. The tyrannical god spear appeared in his left hand. He swept Lin Xian and Qiuqiu's army with a move of total annihilation. Under the state of the silver-armored ancient god body, the power of wielding the tyrannical god spear was naturally stronger than before. With two booming sounds, Lin Xian and Qiuqiu's army were forced to retreat. Then, Lu Ming used the ruler's gate, void-shattering sword, moon of moon, sun of sun, and other secret techniques of the origin. They were all unleashed at Lin Xian's face. On the other hand, Lu Ming brandished his sword and slashed at the other deputy mountain lord of Qi Tongshan. This person had just been forced back by Lu Ming's tyrannical god spear. Before he could even stabilize himself, Lu Ming had already arrived. In his panic, he barely managed to block a move. Then he was cleaved into two by Lu Ming and died. From Lu Ming's attack to the killing of two people, it had only happened in an instant. It was unbelievably fast. At this moment, the surrounding people finally reacted. They found it hard to believe. This. The people of the Dragon Alliance were stunned. They didn't expect Lu Ming's strength to be so strong. As for Man Ku, he turned pale with fright. Lu Ming was blasted out of the famed mountain. Not only did he not die, his strength had increased greatly. He was so depressed that he wanted to vomit blood. At this moment, he was extremely terrified. As for Lu Ming, he had already launched a storm of attacks at Lin Xian. Lin Xian was slightly stronger than the other two. He could be ranked in the top 30 of this world's God King ranking. However, facing Lu Ming's storm of attacks, he could only die. Zzz. Each of Lu Ming's attacks contained lightning like Qiuqiu. Every time Lin Xian received a blow, his body would feel numb. As a result, his strength was reduced and he was no match for Lu Ming. Puff. Lu Ming slashed at his chest. A wound that was a few thousand meters long appeared. If he hadn't dodged in time, his body would have been cleaved into two. Man Ku, quick, come and lend me a hand. Lin Xian roared. Man Ku's expression changed. He was terrified. Then he turned around and ran. At the same time he shouted, Lin Xian, hold him off for a while. I'll get reinforcements to save you. Man Ku, you deserve to die. Lin Xian roared in despair. Man Ku was going to get reinforcements to save him. What a joke. Was it too late to get reinforcements now? He was obviously trying to escape. Don't worry. After I kill you, I'll send him to accompany you on your way. Lu Ming sneered. He attacked Lin Xian with all kinds of secret arts of the origin. He forced Lin Xian to reveal a flaw. Then he slashed down with his battle sword. This time, Lin Xian couldn't dodge in time. He was hit. His body that was 100,000 meters tall was cleaved into two. He died completely. Man Ku's spiritual sense scanned the scene. He was almost scared to death and ran even faster. However, Lu Ming chased after Man Ku at high speed. Man Ku had to die. Lu Ming's speed was obviously faster than Man Ku's. The barbarian god physique was good at defense. Speed was its shortcoming. Chapter 34-41. Before Man Ke could escape from the Fengyan mountain, Lu Ming had caught up to him. When he caught up, he slashed his sword at Man Ke. Man Ke hurriedly waved his sword to block, but with a clang his body retreated and broke a mountain peak. Following that, Lu Ming waved his sword again and slashed at Man Ke's chest. Zzz. The battle sword slashed at Man Ke's chest, causing sparks to fly and an ear-piercing sound to be heard. Break for me! Lu Ming roared and unleashed all of his power. Together with Qiuqiu's power, they exploded. Boom boom. The rocks under Man Ke's body exploded continuously. Gravel flew everywhere and a huge crater was formed. In the end, Man Ke's attack was broken. A crack appeared on the white bone armor. Even Man Ke's crystal armor was broken and fresh blood flowed out. Ah! Man Ke screamed in fear. The defense that he was so proud of was broken. This made him extremely terrified. He would die like this. He hurriedly waved his bronze sword to resist, but it was blocked by the tyrant god spear in Lu Ming's left hand. The battle sword in his right hand continued to slash at the wound. Poochie! The battle sword slashed into the wound and blood splattered everywhere. The power of lightning and Lu Ming's divine power rushed into the wound and exploded in Man Ke's body. Man Ke's body shook violently. His insides were in a mess and his organs were blown to pieces. If it was an ordinary person, they would definitely die. However, Man Ke was a peak divine king and naturally wouldn't die so easily. He was severely injured and couldn't maintain his primordial divine body. His body shrunk rapidly and returned to its original state. No, don't kill me. Save me. Man Ke screamed hysterically. Go on your way. No one can save you today. Lu Ming said coldly and slashed down with his sword. But at this moment, a terrifying aura exploded in the sky. A huge palm grabbed at Lu Ming. The palm print whistled and the sky shook. The terrifying energy caused Lu Ming's expression to change. This palm print was fatal to Lu Ming. He couldn't care less about killing Man Ke and slashed at the sky with all his strength. Boom. Lu Ming's body shook as the battle sword struck the palm print. It was as if he had been hit by a planet. He was forced back several thousand meters before he could stabilize himself. And that palm print was also blocked by Lu Ming. A burly figure appeared in the sky. Guardian. That person was really the guardian of Wind Cloud Mountain, and the descendant of the god of berserkers. The guardian Zhen stood in the air, his body emitting a violent aura. He stared at Lu Ming and said, "This battle is over. All of you disperse." His words shocked the others, especially the people from the Dragon Alliance. The Protector had actually personally appeared to interfere. According to the rules, the Protectors were not allowed to interfere in the battles within the various famed mountains, and allowed them to develop as they pleased. Only when people from other famed mountains came to attack this famed mountain would he intervene. What was going on? It will end here. Don't worry, after I kill Man Ke, this battle will be over. Lu Ming said coldly. You don't understand what I mean? Man Ke can't die. From now on, Wind Cloud Mountain will be split equally between the two of you. The Protector said coldly. Ha ha ha, split equally? What a joke. Man Ke was defeated by me. What right does he have to split equally with me? Also, as the Protector, you can't interfere in the internal affairs of the famed mountains. What right do you have to interfere? Lu Ming shouted. How dare you? Don't think that you can talk to me like that just because you have some talent. If I want you to die, it's as easy as crushing an ant. The Protector said coldly. As the Protector, you didn't interfere when the people from Qitangshan came to attack us. Instead, you want to interfere when we're having an internal conflict. I'll definitely report this to the enforcers. You'll be punished. Lu Ming shouted. Stubborn. You're courting death. The Protector exuded a strong murderous intent. His terrifying aura erupted and formed a terrifying pressure that enveloped Wind Cloud Mountain. Some of the weaker cultivators were unable to withstand the pressure and fell to the ground with a thump, their faces pale. Since you're courting death, I'll kill you once and for all, the Protector said coldly. He raised his right hand and a huge axe condensed. It exuded a terrifying aura and was about to chop down on Lu Ming. Lu Ming's face was extremely solemn. The protector's strength was definitely at the fourth layer Divine Lord realm and above. He was too strong and definitely not someone he could go against. He could easily kill him. However, it was impossible for Lu Ming to beg for mercy. If you dare to make a move, I guarantee that you'll die a horrible death. At this moment, a cold voice came from the distant horizon. Hearing this voice, Lu Ming's eyes lit up and he was overjoyed. That was because it was the voice of Wan Shun. Lu Ming quickly looked over and saw a figure flying over at an extremely fast speed. In the blink of an eye, he was right in front of them. Who else could it be if it wasn't Wan Shun? However, Wan Shun came alone and Blue Merchant wasn't by his side. Wan Shun, are you alright? Lu Ming quickly asked. Back when they were being chased by the barbarian race, Wan Shun was seriously injured and unconscious. His injuries were extremely serious and Lu Ming was rather worried. I'm fine. I've long recovered. Wan Shun smiled. Kid, who are you? The protector narrowed his eyes and looked at Wan Shun. His friend. Wan Shun pointed at Lu Ming and said, You're not from Tempest Mountain, right? The protector said. No. Wan Shun said. If you're not from Tempest Mountain, then get lost. You have no right to interfere in this matter. The protector shouted coldly. Lu Ming was so angry that he laughed. This protector was really shameless. He didn't care when Qi Tongshan's men came. Now that Wan Shun was here, he wanted to interfere? Wan Shun ignored the protector and looked at Lu Ming. Lu Ming, what are you doing? Continue. Leave this guy to me. All right. Lu Ming nodded and walked toward Man Ku. How dare you? You're courting death. The protector was furious. With a wave of his hand, the huge battle axe slashed down at Lu Ming. I think you're the one who's going to die. Wan Shun shouted. A stone spear appeared and became extremely huge. It pierced through the void and hit the huge battle axe, causing it to shatter. The spear did not stop and continued to attack the protector. The protector was shocked. He never expected Wan Shun to be so strong that he could destroy his battle axe in one move. Although it was just a battle axe condensed from his divine force, it was still shocking enough. How dare you attack the protector? You're courting death. The protector shouted coldly and took a step forward. Heaven and earth shook as terrifying divine force erupted like a volcano. Barbarian God Fist. The protector shouted and punched out with both fists. In an instant, dozens of punches were thrown out. Dozens of fist gleams blasted toward Wan Shun with earth-shattering force. The moment the fist gleams touched them, the void exploded. The power was terrifying. Wan Shun's expression was calm. The stone spear vibrated and stabbed out dozens of times. Dozens of stone spears seemed to have appeared in the sky and collided with the opponent's fist gleams. Chapter 34-42. Wan Shun's attack collided with the Guardian's attack, causing the world to tremble. Then, Wan Shun drifted back and the Guardian's fist force completely vanished. It was blocked. Everyone was dumbfounded. Wan Shun looked like a figure of the younger generation, but to be able to block the Guardian's attack, this talent was too terrifying. More importantly, Wan Shun's cultivation was at the Divine Lord realm. So why would he appear here? Divine Lords were not allowed to enter this place, and once someone broke through to the Divine Lord realm, they would be sent away. Divine Lord realm, how did you come in? The Guardian bellowed. Why do you care how I came in? You should care about yourself first. Wan Shun erupted with soaring fighting spirit as he took a step forward. The stone spear became as large as a mountain as it pressed down on the Guardian. Kill. The Guardian bellowed as his body emitted a resplendent radiance. This time a bronze battle axe condensed. This was the Guardian's origin secret technique. The Guardian was serious as he charged at Wan Shun. Boom. Boom. The two engaged in an intense battle as the sky constantly trembled. Every collision was like a star exploding. For a moment it was difficult to determine the victor. Wan Shun's cultivation, Lu Ming was extremely shocked by Wan Shun's cultivation. Before they entered this world, Wan Shun's cultivation was at the second-level Divine Lord realm. But now, Wan Shun's cultivation was definitely not at the second-level Divine Lord realm, or even the third-level Divine Lord realm. According to the experts Lu Ming had encountered in the past, Wan Shun's cultivation had reached the terrifying fourth-level Divine Lord realm. How long had it been? Wan Shun's cultivation had broken through 2 more levels, reaching the 4th level Divine Lord realm. This was too terrifying. How could a Divine Lord realm's cultivation speed be so fast? It seems like Wan Shun must have had a fortuitous encounter during this period of time. Lu Ming's heart stirred. This world was related to the primordial divine spirits everywhere, and Wan Shun was formed from the bloodlines of dozens of primordial divine spirits. His talent was too terrifying. In this world, he was like a fish in water. With a little fortuitous encounter, he would advance by leaps and bounds. In the blink of an eye, Wan Shun and the Guardian exchanged over 100 blows. The more the Guardian fought, the more shocked and terrified he became. He had peak 6th level Divine Lord cultivation, and actually could not do anything to a young man. Below, Manku was almost scared to death. The Guardian was his backer. Now that his backer was blocked, who was going to save him? Bang! Lu Ming stepped out and walked towards Manku. Now let's see who can save you. Die. Lu Ming said coldly. His huge body looked down at Manku. Help! Manku roared, calling for help from the Guardian. Get lost, brat! The Guardian roared. His body swelled up rapidly, turning into a 1,000,000-meter-tall giant that stood between heaven and earth. The Guardian had also cultivated the barbarian god body, and had already reached the 9th transformation. His strength was extremely shocking. The gigantic bronze axe became incomparably huge. With a single chop, it seemed as if it could split the heavens and earth apart as it charged towards the myriad gods. Wan Shun was fearless. With a long roar, his body emitted a dazzling light. One after another, origin source secret techniques flew out, shattering the void and charging towards the Guardian. There were a total of 18 origin source secret techniques. There were a few more than before. Boom boom boom. A series of explosions sounded. The Guardian's attack was blocked. 18 origin source secret techniques? How is this possible? Also your primordial divine body. The Guardian roared in shock. His pupils contracted rapidly as if he had seen something unbelievable. He could become the Guardian because he was a peerless genius when he was young. Otherwise, how could he have awakened origin source secret techniques and cultivated the primordial divine body to the 9th transformation? It could be said that his strength was top-notch among those of the same level. An ordinary 6th level divine lord would not be able to withstand a single blow from him. But now he could not do anything to Wan Shun even though his cultivation was 2 levels higher. Not only did Wan Shun control 18 origin source secret techniques, but he had also comprehended each origin source secret technique to an extremely deep level. Moreover, Wan Shun's divine body was too terrifying. Although it was only the size of an ordinary person, it had completely surpassed the 9th transformation of the primordial divine body. What kind of monster was this? Facing Wan Shun's barrage of attacks, the Guardian could not even take care of himself. He no longer had the strength to protect Manku. Manku revealed a look of despair and turned to escape. Young Master Manku, leave quickly. We will hold him back. Over a dozen elderly barbarians rushed over. These elderly barbarians were nearing the end of their lives. They were not afraid of death and wanted to protect Manku. With Manku's talent, he would definitely become a big shot of the barbarian tribe in the future. He definitely could not die here. The dozen elderly barbarians were all peak divine kings. Moreover, they had awakened their origin source divine powers for the 3rd time. They were extremely strong and surpassed ordinary peak divine kings by a level. But now facing Lu Ming, they could not withstand a single blow. Kill. Lu Ming shouted coldly and slashed out with his battle sword. A shocking sword light swept across the void. Accompanied by huge bolts of lightning, it blasted towards the elderly barbarians. Bang bang bang. These elderly barbarians were first struck by the lightning. Then they were struck by the lightning. They exploded and died on the spot. The dozen elderly barbarians died tragically in an instant. Now, ordinary peak divine kings could not withstand a single blow from Lu Ming. Moreover, there was also Qiu. After killing the dozen elderly barbarians, Lu Ming did not stop. He continued to walk towards Manku and reached out his hand to grab Manku. Manku let out a cry of despair. Although he tried his best to resist, it was useless. He was caught by Lu Ming. Lu Ming was 100,000 meters tall. When he grabbed Manku, it was like grabbing an ant. "I'll send you on your way," Lu Ming said coldly. In front of Manku's desperate eyes, he squeezed hard. Manku let out a cry and his body exploded. He died on the spot. "Let's go." With Manku killed, the remaining barbarians did not dare to stay any longer. They all ran out of Fengyan Mountain, afraid that Lu Ming would settle the score. Lu Ming could not be bothered with these small fries. He focused on the battle in the sky. So powerful. So, origin source secret techniques can be used like this. Has he severed the shackles? Lu Ming looked at Wan Shun's origin source secret techniques and sighed. Every origin source secret technique had boundless potential. There was a lot of potential to be unearthed. A newly awakened origin source secret technique was only the most superficial use. For example, Wan Shun could unleash the power of origin source secret techniques to a shocking extent. When Wan Shun used the gate of domination, a vortex would appear. There would be loud roars coming from within, as if there were terrifying creatures that were about to charge out. There were other origin source secret techniques that exploded with shocking power. Lu Ming heard that every origin source secret technique was covered with layers of shackles. However, they could not be seen or sensed by the naked eye. Only when one's comprehension of the origin source secret technique reached a certain level would one be able to sense it. As long as the shackles were severed, the power of the origin source secret technique would skyrocket. Chapter 34-43. These shackles were like a seal that sealed the original might of the quintessence secret technique. Once the seal was undone, its might would erupt. Every quintessence secret technique had more than one shackle. It was said that once completely severed, its might would not be weaker than that of a true primordial god. Its might was astounding, capable of shattering the universe. Of course, severing these shackles was extremely difficult. It was even more difficult than awakening and quintessence secret technique. Up until now, Lu Ming had not seen anyone other than the myriad gods who had severed the shackles of an quintessence secret technique. Lu Ming had not done so either. The myriad gods were engaged in an intense battle with the Guardian. "Kill!" The myriad gods roared, growing braver as they fought, their fighting spirit growing stronger and stronger. As for the Guardian, he grew more alarmed as he fought, his fighting spirit weakening. Bam! Finally, the Guardian was struck in the head by the myriad god's gate of domination. He retreated rapidly, his head spinning from the blow. If not for his profound cultivation and the 9th transformation of the barbarian god body, giving him astonishing defensive strength, his head would have exploded. Even so, he still felt his vision blur as a large bump appeared on his head. Following that, he was infuriated. He was the guardian of a famed mountain, a peak 6th level divine lord. For him to be struck by a youth was a great humiliation. Roar! The guardian let out a frenzied roar, intending to burn his divine power to fight the myriad gods, disregarding everything to slay them. Enough! At this moment, a dignified voice came from the sky, followed by a powerful pressure. The guardian and the myriad gods could not withstand this pressure. Their bodies trembled as they retreated. A gray-robed elder stepped down from the sky and landed between the guardian and the myriad gods. Lord Enforcer. Upon seeing the elder, the guardian's expression changed as he hurriedly cupped his fists and bowed. This is an enforcer? Lu Ming's heart stirred. He had long heard that there were 3 enforcers in this world, their status above the guardian, but he had never seen them before. Old man, don't stop me. I'm going to kill him. The myriad gods shouted. It's not certain who will be killed. The guardian said coldly. Shut up. The enforcer shouted coldly and looked at the protector. The protector didn't dare to say anything else. Then the enforcer looked at Wan Shun and smiled bitterly. Wan Shun, how about we let this matter go on account of me? From the looks of it, the enforcers knew the myriad deities. I'll kill this guy sooner or later. The myriad god coldly snorted and coldly glanced at the guardian. The guardian's face was unsightly, but he didn't say anything. He knew that there was nothing he could do to Lu Ming today. Even he would be punished. I have a general understanding of what happened. Man Xian, you have already violated the rules by allowing people from other famed mountains to interfere with MT Fengyan. Do you understand? The enforcer said coldly. This subordinate knows his mistake. The guardian man gone, lowered his head and said, All right, since you're guilty, I'll strip you of your authority as a guardian. Go back and await your punishment. The enforcer waved his hand and said, Yes. Mantian nodded. Then he turned into a streak of rainbow light and flew towards a direction, leaving that place. Lu Ming, are you all right? After Mantian left, Wanshan flew over and looked at Lu Ming worriedly. I'm fine. Lu Ming smiled and shrunk his body to the size of an ordinary person. By the way, where have you been all this time? Also, where's Lan Shu? Wasn't he with you? Lu Ming asked a few questions. When the two of us entered, we appeared in an underground palace. The cultivation environment there is very good. I've been cultivating there for more than 100 years, and my cultivation has broken through 2 levels. However, Lan Shu's luck is even better. He had a fortuitous encounter, and is now cultivating in seclusion. I believe that he will look for you once he's done with his cultivation. Wan Shun said. Lu Ming heaved a sigh of relief when he heard that Blue Merchant was fine, and even had a fortuitous encounter. By the way, Lu Ming, I came to look for you this time to bid farewell to you. Wan Shun suddenly said. Farewell. Lu Ming was stunned. Wan Shun bade him farewell. Where was he going? Lu Ming couldn't help but look at the enforcer. Instinctively, Lu Ming felt that this matter had something to do with the enforcer. Wan Shun wants to follow me to the cryptic world. The enforcer walked over and said. The cryptic world? Lu Ming was puzzled. That's right. Since you're Wan Shun's friend, you'll know sooner or later. There's no harm in telling you. In fact, this world hides a big secret that's beyond your imagination. The world you're in now is just the peripheral world. The real core is in the cryptic world. The enforcer explained. There's actually a cryptic world? Where's the entrance? Why haven't I heard of it? Wait, that door? Lu Ming's mind raced. He suddenly remembered that when he first entered this world, he found a huge, faintly discernible door on a mountain range. Could that door be the door to the cryptic world? You should have heard that as long as one's cultivation reaches the Divine Lord level or above, they will be sent away. Let me tell you, some people enter the cryptic world to cultivate, while others are sent back. The enforcer explained. Yes, Lu Ming, I've been to the cryptic world. That world is too suitable for me, so I want to bid you farewell. Wan Shun said. Yes, Wan Shun has the strongest talent among all the people I've seen. He's the most compatible with the primordial gods. It's unbelievable. If he enters the cryptic world to cultivate, his progress will be amazing. He'll definitely advance by leaps and bounds. Even I can't predict his achievements. The enforcer said. Go. Lu Ming smiled and looked at Wan Shun. Cultivate well and strive to reach the peak as soon as possible. Lu Ming knew very well that Wan Shun was evolved from the bloodline of dozens of primordial gods. His talent was too terrifying. Moreover, this world was the world of the primordial gods. It was very suitable for Wan Shun to stay here and cultivate. He would definitely be able to improve rapidly. Following him would only be a waste of his talent. He was happy for Wan Shun. Lu Ming, I'll definitely cultivate hard and help you out as soon as possible. Wan Shun said with a determined gaze. Okay, I'll wait for you. Lu Ming smiled. Also, I'll leave the coordinates here. When Lan Shu comes out, he'll find this place. Speaking of this, Wan Shun walked over and gave Lu Ming a hug. Lu Ming, take care. Take care. Lu Ming replied with a smile. Then Wan Shun followed the enforcer and stepped into the air, disappearing in the blink of an eye. After the enforcer left, the scene was silent. Everyone's gaze fell on Lu Ming. Now that Man Ku was dead, Lu Ming was the king of Fengyan Mountain. Are you guys going to surrender or leave? Lu Ming looked at the people from the Barbarian Alliance. Chapter 34-44. In the Barbarian Alliance, the original members of the Barbarian tribe had left long ago. The remaining members were all Sky Prides from other tribes. When Lu Ming looked over, these Sky Prides exchanged glances and cupped their fists at the same time. We're willing to submit to the Dragon Alliance. Great, then stay in Fengyan Mountain from now on. The ratio of primordial divine crystals submitted will be the same as the rest of the Dragon Alliance. Lu Ming said. As for those in the Dragon Alliance who wanted to attack Bo Yi and the others, he was too lazy to deal with them. In this world, there was no such thing as loyalty. Everyone was just a partner and a passerby. Once they left, no one could control each other. As long as these people could help Lu Ming gather primordial divine crystals, Lu Ming could not be bothered with them. Then Lu Ming gave the order to integrate Fengyun Mountain. The entire Fengyun Mountain belonged to Lu Ming, and became the 12th famed mountain to be unified. Alliance leader, you killed 3 deputy mountain masters of Mount Qitong. Be careful of the mountain master of Mount Qitong's revenge. At this moment, Bo Yi flew over with a grave expression. Oh, the mountain master of Mount Qitong? How's his strength? Lu Ming asked. Very strong. Although he's also a peak divine king, his primordial divine body has already reached the 9th transformation. He's far stronger than Man Ku and the others. He can definitely kill them easily, Bo Yi said. 9th transformation? Lu Ming muttered. His ancient divine body had also reached the 9th transformation, and was at the peak of the 9th transformation. If he cooperated with Qiu Qiu, he might be able to fight against the mountain master of Mount Qitong. However, 30 years later, the legendary 14th famed mountain will be opened. Therefore, all the leaders of the famed mountains are cultivating in seclusion, trying their best to increase their strength, so that they can obtain a great opportunity when the 14th famed mountain opens. Bo Yi said. The 14th famed mountain? There are 14 more famed mountains? Lu Ming was stunned when he heard that. Aren't there only 13 famed mountains? Alliance leader, you haven't heard of them? Bo Yi was surprised. Lu Ming shook his head. This was the first time he had heard of 14 famed mountains. The 14th famed mountain is very special. It's completely different from the other famed mountains. It's been sealed all year round and will only be opened after a long period of time. Once it opens, outsiders can get in. The 14th famed mountain is different from the other famed mountains. There are big opportunities and opportunities there. I heard that someone once brought out the fresh blood of the original God Spirit. That person successfully broke through the limit of the 9th transformation of the original God body, and stepped into another unfathomable level. He condensed a drop of the original God Spirit's blood in his body and transformed his God body. Bo Yi explained. Ancient divine ancient divine body. Lu Ming's pupils shrank. Divine to fresh. Blood Ming. This was definitely a precious treasure for those who practiced the primitive divine body, and its effects were hard to imagine. Lu Ming was surprised. If that was the case, it would be explosive news. Bo Yi shook her head. There isn't a living primordial divine body, but there are a few theories. One is that a primordial divine body was nurtured in the 14th famed mountain, but something happened before it was fully matured. The primordial divine body died and left behind fresh blood. Due to the special location, the blood was preserved and kept fresh. Another theory is that a primordial divine body returned to the 14th famed mountain and sealed his blood in it. However, there are many different theories and it's hard to find a unified theory. I see. Lu Ming nodded. In truth, there are many mountain sovereigns whose cultivations could have broken through to the Divine Lord realm long ago. But, in order to wait for the 14th mountain to appear, they suppressed their cultivations and stayed here because they wanted to obtain the great lucky chances within. Bo Yi explained. Lu Ming nodded. He could understand. Normally, the primordial divine body would reach the 9th transformation, and that would be the limit. If one wanted to break through to the next level, they would have to condense a drop of real primordial divine body's blood. Then, the primordial divine body would break through and become closer to the primordial divine body's constitution. Their strength would be terrifyingly strong. However, it was too difficult to cultivate by oneself. Once one obtained a drop of primordial divine body's blood and refined it, it would be much easier to condense one's own blood with the help of the blood. The mountain master of Mount Qitong, Dongfang Ke, has been in seclusion. However, if he hears that the 3 deputy mountain masters have been killed, he might come out and find trouble with you, Bo Yi said worriedly. According to the rules, he can't just barge into Fengyun Mountain, Lu Ming said. Now that the guardian of the barbarian tribe had left, there would definitely be a new guardian who would handle things impartially. According to the rules, he can't come in and interfere with the internal affairs of Fengyan Mountain. However, he can challenge you in the name of settling a personal grudge. The guardian won't care. Bowie said. Oh, it's fine. During this period, I'll be in seclusion. Once Dongfang Ke comes to challenge me, use this jade token to inform me. After speaking, Lu Ming took out a jade token and dripped a drop of blood on it. The jade token flashed and the drop of blood disappeared. When the time comes, you just have to crush this jade token. Even if I'm in seclusion, I'll be able to sense it. Lu Ming said. All right. Bowie nodded and kept the jade token. Lu Ming headed towards the gap that led to the interior of the famed mountain alone. The eruption of primordial divine qi had basically ended, and there was no one around. Lu Ming looked around, and when he realized that there was no one around, he rushed into the gap and took out the purple copper coffin before flying down. Soon, Lu Ming arrived at the bottom and sat down with his legs crossed. The purple copper coffin floated above Lu Ming's head and released a special aura to block off the pressure from outside. Then 4 storage rings appeared in Lu Ming's hand. These 4 storage rings were obtained from the hands of Man Ku, Lin Xian, and the others. Lu Ming was looking forward to it. Man Ku was needless to say. Lin Xian and the others were the deputy mountain masters of Qitong Mountain, so they didn't have to condense their own primordial divine crystals. How many primordial divine crystals had they accumulated after so many years? Lu Ming opened the storage rings and checked them one by one. Even though he was mentally prepared, Lu Ming's heart still thumped violently after checking them. He was rich. He was really rich. Man Ku had only been in charge of the Barbarian League for a short period of time, but there were more than 2 million primordial divine crystals in his storage ring. The main reason was that there were many people. There were more than 10,000 people in the Barbarian League, and none of them could condense one primordial divine crystal in a month. If one handed in 90%, they would have to hand in at least 10 primordial divine crystals. 10,000 people would have to hand in 100,000 primordial divine crystals in a year. Therefore, Man Ku had accumulated more than 2 million primordial divine crystals over the years. Chapter 34-45. The most shocking ones were Lin Xian, and the other 2. The 3 of them were deputy mountain masters of Mount Qitong, so their share was naturally not that high. However, they had been here for at least 1,000 years, or even tens of thousands of years. Each of them had tens of millions of primordial divine crystals in their storage rings. The 3 of them added up to more than 30 million crystals. They were rich. The primordial divine crystals were of great use to Lu Ming. Not only did he need to cultivate, but he also planned to refine the Dark Ape fighting tribe after leaving this place. He would use the primordial divine liquid to transform the Dark Ape fighting tribe, so that they could cultivate the primordial divine body. However, cultivation would definitely require primordial divine crystals. Otherwise, the progress would be too slow. Only with primordial divine crystals would he be able to progress rapidly. The more primordial divine crystals he had, the better. After tidying up, Lu Ming was in a good mood. After a while, Lu Ming adjusted his state of mind and began to meditate. All of a sudden, Lu Ming entered a wonderful state. His body seemed to be wrapped in a layer of warm energy. It was extremely comfortable. It was as if he was the primordial divine spirit that was being nurtured. In this mysterious state, his understanding of the primordial divine power factor and the primordial divine power factor increased rapidly. In 30 years, the 14th famed mountain would open. It contained the fresh blood of the primordial divine spirit and other opportunities. Lu Ming was also tempted. He did not want to miss it. However, the mountain masters of the famed mountains were not easy to deal with. Each one was stronger than the last. According to Bowie, some of the mountain masters were too strong. Before this, there were a total of 11 mountain masters. Without a doubt, they were the 11 strongest people in this world. As for the mountain master of Mount Qitong, Dongfang Ke, he was ranked 11th. He was the weakest among the 11 mountain masters. Lu Ming had no confidence in dealing with those people. He had to improve his strength. Lu Ming controlled 11 types of primordial divine power. Naturally, he could not comprehend them all at once. He had to comprehend them one by one. First, Lu Ming began to comprehend the Overlord Spear. Initially, Lu Ming had the deepest understanding of the sovereign's divine power. However, over the past few years, Lu Ming had been using the tyrannical deity spear the most, and was the most comfortable with it. The more he used it, the deeper his understanding. Gradually, he surpassed the sovereign's divine power. From the very beginning, Lu Ming's comprehension of the Hegemon King's mystic power increased by leaps and bounds. The Overlord's godly power was progressing from the Third Awakening to the Fourth Awakening at an astonishing speed. It had only been a year, but Lu Ming's body was emitting an even denser ancient aura. The Overlord Spear's power was incomparably dazzling, covering Lu Ming's entire body, transforming into countless tiny spear lights that swam about. I've broken through. I've really broken through. I've awakened 4 times. Lu Ming was ecstatic. Originally, although his comprehension of the Overlord Spear force was the deepest, he had only broken through to the Third Awakening not too long ago. If he wanted to achieve the Fourth Awakening, he did not know how long it would take. But now, in just a year's time, Lu Ming's Overlord Spear force had already awakened 4 times. This speed was simply too terrifying. This was simply cheating. Continue. Lu Ming kept the Overlord Spear force and began to comprehend the sovereign's godly power. In about a year's time, the sovereign's godly power had another breakthrough, reaching the Fourth Awakening. Then it was the moon godly power. The speed of his cultivation was too shocking. On average, the various godly powers would break through once in a little more than a year. 10 years passed in the blink of an eye. Lu Ming already had 9 godly powers that had awakened 4 times. There were only 2 godly powers left. By the time Lu Ming had been here for 13 years, the remaining 2 godly powers had also awakened 4 times. At this time, Lu Ming's 11 godly powers had all awakened 4 times, causing his strength to skyrocket. Now, although my cultivation is still in the 7th layer of the God King realm, my godly power should not be weaker than those peak God Kings who have awakened 4 times. Lu Ming revealed a confident smile. Previously, his godly power had only awakened 3 times. Against those peak God Kings who had awakened 4 times, he was at a disadvantage. His cultivation was weak to begin with, and his origin godly power was weak. Even if he activated the battle formula to increase his fighting strength by 5 times, it was still not enough to make up for the difference. He still needed to work together with Qiu to make up for the difference. But now, in terms of cultivation and godly power, he was not at a disadvantage. Now let's start to comprehend the origin secret technique. Let's see if I can comprehend the origin secret technique with the remaining godly powers. Lu Ming pondered. He had awakened a total of 6 origin secret techniques. They were the Sovereign's Gate, Overlord Spear, Void Shattering Sword, Moon of Moon, Son of Great Yang, and Primordial Divine Dragon Horn. There were still 5 godly powers that had not awakened the origin secret technique. They were the Demonic Path Godly Power, Wind Annihilation Godly Power, Profound Heavenly Godly Power, Heavenly Evil Godly Power, and Divine Eye Godly Power. First, Lu Ming comprehended the Demonic Path Godly Power. It was very difficult to awaken the origin secret technique. Every godly power seemed to be shrouded in layers of fog. It was impossible to see or touch them. But in such an environment, there seemed to be a mysterious power that pushed aside the fog, allowing Lu Ming to see the essence of each godly power. In just a month, Lu Ming succeeded. Demonic Qi filled the air. A stone-made saber that was filled with demonic Qi floated above Lu Ming's head. This was the origin secret technique awakened by the Demonic Path Godly Power, the Heavenly Demon Blade. Lu Ming held the Heavenly Demon Blade and slashed out. A vast saber light slashed at a wall. With a clang, sparks flew. Of course, the wall here was not something that Lu Ming could break. He did not even leave a mark. But Lu Ming was already very satisfied. The Heavenly Demon Blade's attack power was very strong. It possessed the domineering might of the demonic path. Then the second one is the Wind Annihilation Godly Power. Lu Ming put away the Heavenly Demon Blade and began to comprehend the Wind Annihilation Godly Power. This kind of cheat-like cultivation environment could only be encountered by chance. Lu Ming did not want to waste any time. He seized every bit of time to cultivate. Another month passed. The origin secret technique of the wind annihilation godly power was awakened. A pair of stone-made boots appeared, surrounded by a gentle breeze that was filled with destructive power. Wind annihilation boots was the name of this origin secret technique. Let's test its power. Lu Ming's heart stirred. The wind annihilation boots flew to his feet and fused with them. Swish! Lu Ming's heart stirred. His figure burst out, turning into a light shadow. With amazing speed, he appeared thousands of miles away. What amazing speed! Lu Ming was overjoyed. When he used the wind annihilation boots, his speed would increase tremendously. If he used it with the Garuda technique, his speed would increase even more. The origin secret techniques that he had awakened previously were mostly offensive. He had enough offensive means. Now that an auxiliary origin secret technique had appeared, he was naturally overjoyed. Although the primordial divine dragon horn did not look like an offensive origin secret technique, he had not discovered its specific profundity. Moreover, he felt that the wind annihilation boots was not only fast, but also filled with destructive power. Its attack power was also very shocking. Chapter 3446. There are still 3 types of divine power that have yet to awaken their origin source secret techniques. I hope that these 3 types of divine power can awaken auxiliary origin source secret techniques. Lu Ming was looking forward to it. To be honest, he had more than enough offensive origin source secret techniques. It was more than enough. Sometimes, support-type origin secret techniques could be of great use. For example, the Wind Destroyer boots could save his life at critical moments. Lu Ming was about to continue cultivating when his expression changed slightly. He waved his hand, and a jade token appeared in his hand. The jade token was shining. Boyi is looking for me. It seems that Dongfang Ke, the leader of the Qitong Mountain, has come out of seclusion. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. Humph, then let's end this quickly. I'll come back to cultivate after I finish off this Dongfang Ke. Lu Ming snorted coldly. Then he soared into the sky and flew upward. The foot of the mountain at the west side of Fengyan Mountain was crowded with people. A young man in a fiery red robe sat cross-legged on a piece of green rock, blocking the entrance of Fengyan Mountain. This person was the leader of the Qitong Mountain, Dongfang Quebec. He had been in seclusion previously. When he came out of seclusion, he heard that 3 of his deputy leaders had been killed. He was furious and charged to Fengyan Mountain. Of course, he could not kill wantonly in Fengyan Mountain because the new guardian had stopped him. He could only block the entrance of Fengyan Mountain and challenge Lu Ming. The people of the Dragon Alliance were looking at Dongfang Ke on Fengyan Mountain. There was also a large number of people outside Fengyan Mountain. Some of them were from the Qitong Mountain, and some were from other famous mountains. They had all heard that Dongfang Ke was going to challenge the leader of the Dragon Alliance, and had rushed over to watch the show. Where's Lu Ming? Ask him to come out and die. A young man from the Qitong Mountain shouted. His roar was like thunder. We've said that our leader is in seclusion. If you want to fight, wait until he comes out. Boyi replied. Humph, I think he's scared. He's a coward and doesn't dare to fight our leader. That's why he's hiding. The young man from the Qitong Mountain sneered mockingly. Boyi and the others had ugly expressions and did not reply. If Lu Ming doesn't come out, we'll block the entrance of Fengyan Mountain. You guys can stay in Fengyan Mountain for the rest of your lives. The young man from Qitongshan said coldly. Although they couldn't kill their way into Fengyan Mountain, if the people from Fengyan Mountain came out, there would be no restrictions. They could attack as they wished. Have you sent a message to the Alliance Master? Someone in the Dragon Alliance asked Boyi in secret. I've sent a message. I believe the Alliance Master will be here soon. Boyi said. Even if he did, it would still be dangerous. Dongfang Ke has been guarding Mount Qitong for many years, and is extremely powerful. Would the Alliance leader be a match for him? That's right. In this world, apart from the other 10 Mountain Masters, no one can defeat Dongfang Ke. Many of the Dragon Alliance members looked worried. Relatively speaking, the treatment that Dragon Alliance gave was the best. They didn't want Lu Ming to be killed just like that. When the Alliance Master arrives, we'll persuade him to bear with it and not accept the challenge. Dongfang Ke can't do anything about it. We'll stay in Fengyan Mountain and cultivate in peace. I don't believe that Dongfang Ke will be stuck here forever. That's right. Let's persuade the Alliance Master later. Many people were discussing this matter. The Alliance Master is here. Suddenly someone shouted. Everyone looked in the same direction. In that direction, a young man was walking in the air. If it wasn't Lu Ming, who else could it be? Soon Lu Ming arrived in front of Bo Yi and the rest. Lu Ming, you're finally here. Dongfang Ke stood up and a powerful aura burst out. His body was covered in flames and the temperature was so high that it distorted the void. You're Dongfang Ke? Lu Ming said calmly. That's right. Dongfang Ke replied. Why did you bring your men and surround my Fengyan mountain? You're disturbing our cultivation. Do you know that my time is very precious? Lu Ming said loudly. After witnessing the heaven-defying cultivation effects in Fengyan mountain, Lu Ming wished that he could stay in there all the time. His time was really precious. However, Dongfang Ke thought that Lu Ming was humiliating him. He was so angry that the flames on his body trembled. Lu Ming, you've killed 3 of my deputy mountain masters. Now, I'm officially challenging you. Come out and fight. Dongfang Ke shouted. So you want to fight? Come on, cut the crap. After saying that, Lu Ming took a step forward and rushed out. Alliance Master. Many people from the Dragon Alliance were stunned. They wanted to persuade Lu Ming to bear with it. However, before they could say anything, Lu Ming rushed out impatiently as if he was in a hurry. The moment he rushed out, Lu Ming condensed the Overlord God Spear in his hand. When he saw Dongfang Ke just now, he had already activated the battle formula. Now he had successfully activated the battle formula to increase his combat strength by 5 times. Boom! The Overlord God Spear pressed down on Dongfang Ke like a mountain. The void shook violently as if it was being squeezed by something. Then it swept to both sides like water. Heavenly Fire Bow. Dongfang Ke roared and the flames on his body burned even brighter. At the same time, a fiery red bow appeared in his hand. He pulled the bowstring and a fiery red arrow pierced through the void and flew towards Lu Ming. Its speed was shocking. Boom! The fiery red arrow collided with the Overlord God Spear. There was a loud explosion as if the sun had exploded. Scorching flames spread in all directions. The Overlord God Spear shook and pushed the flames away. A bow-type origin source secret skill? No, it's just an ordinary origin source secret skill. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. At this moment, Dongfang Ke continued to attack. His divine power surged and the bow grew rapidly. With a buzzing sound, more than 10 huge arrows flew towards Lu Ming. A terrifying whistling sound reverberated in the void. The temperature between heaven and earth rose rapidly. Lu Ming brandished the Overlord God Spear and attacked. At the same time, the Gate of Domination and the Voidbreaker Sword appeared and attacked Dongfang Ke from 2 other directions. Dongfang Ke's eyes turned cold. He waved his hand and the arrows quickly changed directions. They turned in the air and blocked the Gate of Domination and the Voidbreaker Sword. Dongfang Ke was indeed a peerless genius. He had cultivated an ordinary origin source secret skill to the point where it was no weaker than an origin source secret skill. The bowstring vibrated continuously. This time, hundreds of arrows shot towards Lu Ming. Divine Dragon Dharma Body. Lu Ming took a step forward. 99 nine-clawed divine dragons appeared between heaven and earth. They pounced and blocked all the arrows. If it had been before, it would not have been so easy for him to block because Dongfang Ke had obviously awakened 4 times. But now Lu Ming's 11 types of divine power had also awakened 4 times. Although his cultivation was 2 levels lower, he still blocked all the arrows. No need to test me. Get serious. I don't have time to waste with you. Lu Ming said coldly. He became one with his spear and broke through 2 arrows. He charged towards Dongfang Quebec. Dongfang Ke's expression changed. His body flashed and he retreated tens of thousands of meters. Chapter 34-47. Not bad. No wonder you could kill my deputy mountain master. Kill. Dongfang Ke roared. Caw. Following that, a sharp cry was heard as the eastern sparrow's body rapidly grew in size. Finally, it turned into a huge flaming bird. To be precise, it was a flaming bird. This was Dongfang Ke's true form. He wasn't a human but a flaming bird from the Divine Beast clan. That wasn't all. After turning into a flaming bird, His body swelled again until he was 1,000,000 meters tall. He was covered in flames and looked like a sun from afar. Primordial divine body. This was his primordial divine body that had turned into a primordial divine sparrow. Die. Dongfang Ke roared as he flapped his wings. Countless feathers flew out and turned into arrows that shot towards Lu Ming. This is the primordial divine body 9th transformation. How scary. Back off. The spectators retreated, not daring to get close. Dongfang Ke had turned into the primordial divine body 9th transformation. With a flap of his wings, tens of thousands of arrows covered a large area. They didn't dare to stay. If one was hit by an arrow, only death awaited them. Wind-extinguishing boots. Lu Ming thought. A pair of stone boots appeared and fused with Lu Ming's feet. Lu Ming stepped out. His body was like a stream of light, flashing continuously. He was even faster than Dongfang Ke's feathers. Whoosh! Whoosh! Everyone could only see Lu Ming's figure in the sky. He dodged all the feathers and arrows and hit every single one of them. A speed-type origin source secret skill. Let's see if yours is faster than mine. Dongfang Ke let out a long howl. Its huge body charged toward Lu Ming at an alarming speed. His huge wings flapped, bringing with them a terrifying gust of wind and flames that filled the sky. They spread towards Lu Ming and covered the entire area. No matter how fast Lu Ming was, he couldn't avoid them. At the same time, Dongfang Ke's huge claw grabbed at Lu Ming. Lu Ming's body was like an ant compared to it. Primordial divine body 9th transformation. And you want to fight with me? Naive. Dongfang Ke's cold and arrogant voice rang out as his giant claws rapidly approached Lu Ming. Do you think that only your primordial divine body has broken through to the 9th transformation? Lu Ming's voice rang out, followed by a deafening roar. Then Lu Ming's body rapidly expanded. In the blink of an eye, Lu Ming had transformed into a golden giant 1,000,000 meters tall. The terrifying aura of the gold-armored ancient god body spread out in all directions, shocking everyone. The 9th transformation of the primordial divine body. It's the 9th transformation. Oh my god, Lu Ming's primordial divine body has also reached the 9th transformation. How is this possible? No wonder he's so confident to challenge Dongfang Ke directly. The scene was filled with exclamations. Wang. Lu Ming transformed into his gold-armored ancient god body, and felt his body brimming with power. The Overlord God Spear trembled and swept out, bringing with it an endless storm. It swept away the flames from Dongfang Ke's fan, and then collided with Dongfang Ke's giant claw. Boom! When the two sides collided, there was an earth-shattering explosion. A terrifying force swept out in all directions. Then a figure quickly retreated. The figure that retreated was Dongfang Quebec. On the other hand, Lu Ming's body only swayed a little. You've also reached the 9th transformation. Dongfang Ke shouted in shock. In this world, as far as he knew, there were no more than 15 people who could reach the 9th transformation. Other than the masters of the 11 famed mountains, there were also a few deputy mountain masters of the strongest famed mountains who had reached the 9th transformation. Other than them, there was no one else. He had not expected that a previously unknown Lu Ming would also reach the 9th transformation. The 9th transformation. There's nothing to be proud of. Today I'll suppress you. Lu Ming said coldly. His aura became even more violent. His cultivation was raised to the maximum. At the same time, a saber appeared in his left hand. It was the heavenly demon blade. Above his head, the gate of domination and the void-shattering sword appeared. Swoosh. The void-shattering sword was the fastest. It was the first to attack Dongfang Quebec. At the same time, the gate of domination also suppressed Dongfang Quebec. Lu Ming held the tyrant god spear and the heavenly demon blade in his hands. He stepped into the void and attacked Dongfang Quebec. Several origin secret techniques were used at the same time. The attack was like a raging tide, bombarding Dongfang Ke's head. Dongfang Ke roared and used all his strength to resist. His origin secret technique was a pair of wings. It could stimulate an endless amount of feather arrows that covered the sky. However, Lu Ming used the wind-extinguishing boots to dodge them one by one. Then he pressed the tyrant god spear. A dazzling spear light pierced towards Dongfang Quebec. On the other side, the heavenly demon blade slashed out. The blade light whistled. An incomparably huge demonic blade cut across the void and slashed towards Dongfang, Quebec. Everywhere it passed, the feather arrows were destroyed. Dongfang Ke was shocked. Endless flames covered his body. They turned into two flaming swords and shot out. They blocked the tyrant god spear and the heavenly demon blade. However, he was forced back by Lu Ming's violent strength. When the gate of domination and the void-shattering sword fell, he couldn't resist. He screamed as his feathers flew. His body was almost cut in half. Now Lu Ming's divine power was not much weaker than Dongfang Ke's. When he used all his techniques, Dongfang Ke was no match for him. He was injured after a few moves. Flying Sparrow Slash. Dongfang Ke roared. His origin secret technique wings flew out and turned into a terrifying blade light. It emitted a scorching aura and slashed towards Lu Ming. He was unwilling to lose. He wanted to counterattack and defeat Lu Ming. However, the difference in strength was there. No matter how unwilling he was, it was useless. Boom. Boom. Under the bombardment of several secret arts of origin, the pair of wings were sent flying. The tyrant god spear pierced out and almost pierced Dongfang Ke's chest and head. This time Dongfang Ke was truly shocked and scared. He let out an indignant roar and actually turned around to run. Lu Ming, I'll remember this debt. You'll pay for it sooner or later. Dongfang Ke roared. Then he flapped his wings desperately and rushed into the distance. You want to leave? Stay. Lu Ming shouted coldly. He stepped into the void and dashed toward Dongfang Ke at an astonishing speed. At the same time, the sky-splitting sword caught up with Dongfang Ke with a swoosh and slashed toward his neck. Dongfang Ke was shocked. He quickly moved to the side and avoided the attack. However, he couldn't completely avoid it. One of his wings was cut off and blood sprayed into the sky. Dongfang Ke screamed. He was even more shocked. He condensed his divine power into wings and flew forward. At the same time, he controlled his origin secret technique to slash at Lu Ming. Explode. In the end, Dongfang Ke let out a loud roar. His origin secret skill wings exploded, turning into surging energy that charged toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming waved the tyrant god spear and the heavenly demon blade and attacked continuously. Finally, he blocked the rolling energy. Unfortunately, this delay had allowed Dongfang Ke to run far away and disappear into the horizon in the blink of an eye. You ran fast. Lu Ming snorted. After this battle, he believed that Dongfang Ke would not dare to attack again. Chapter 34-48. There was complete silence at the scene. Everyone looked at Lu Ming in shock. Lu Ming actually won. What terrifying combat strength. Such combat strength is enough to squeeze into the top 10. As expected of someone who could unify a famed mountain. He lives up to his name. Truly terrifying. Many people were discussing. Many people from the other famed mountains had their eyes flickering. Given Lu Ming's combat power, it was sufficient for him to compete with the top 10 powerhouses. Moreover, they had heard that the ratio of primordial divine crystals collected by the Dragon Alliance was very low. It was much lower than that of other famous mountains. They only took 70% and could keep 30% for themselves. The other famed mountains would have to hand over 90%. Many people were calculating in their hearts, wondering if they should rely on Lu Ming. After all, Lu Ming's current strength was enough to protect them. The league leader has won. The people from the Dragon League found it most unbelievable. Lu Ming had actually defeated Dongfang Quebec. This was far beyond their expectations. Many of them had watched Lu Ming progress step by step. His growth was too fast, and the speed of his improvement was too terrifying. They were all monstrous geniuses, but compared to Lu Ming, they were trash. Alright, it's over. Disperse. Lu Ming waved his hand and flew back to Fengyan Mountain. He collected the primordial divine crystals that he had accumulated over the years. After more than 10 years, he had earned more than 1,000,000 primordial divine crystals. After collecting them, Lu Ming instructed Bo Yi and the others before returning to Fengyan Mountain to cultivate. Following that, Lu Ming continued to comprehend the origin source secret techniques. There were still 3 types of divine powers that had not awakened the origin source secret techniques. After that, his cultivation went very smoothly. The main reason was that the environment of the famed mountains was too good. In just half a year, The remaining 3 types of divine powers had all awakened the origin source secret techniques. The mysterious sky divine power was the origin source secret technique that Lu Ming had cultivated. It was called the mysterious sky shield. It was a stone shield. Lu Ming was overjoyed. This was a defense-type origin source secret technique that could save his life at critical moments. When Lu Ming turned into the primordial godly body, his defensive power was shocking, but who would complain about having a strong defense? Naturally, the stronger one's defense the better. This way, Lu Ming had all kinds of offensive, defensive, and speed-type origin source secret techniques. It could be said that he had no weaknesses. This was absolutely freakish. One had to know that these were all source secret techniques. Their power could be unleashed to the greatest extent, and their potential was boundless. Others could only awaken one origin source secret technique. It was very simple, and they needed to cultivate ordinary secret techniques. However, how could ordinary secret techniques compare to origin source secret techniques in terms of power? Moreover, their potential was much lower. What should I cultivate next? Lu Ming began to ponder. Now he had awakened all 11 types of divine powers 4 times, and all of them had awakened their origin secret arts. Next, there were 2 main directions for cultivation. One was to continue comprehending the godly power and the quintessence godly power factor, allowing the quintessence godly power factor to continue awakening and achieve the quintessence godly power factor. However, from the quintessence godly power to the quintessence godly power factor, it was too difficult. One had to know that the difficulty of each awakening increased exponentially. From the 3rd awakening to the 4th awakening, it would take more than a year. From the 4th awakening to the 5th awakening, it would probably take more than 100 years. Yes, even here, it would take more than 100 years. In the outside world, the time needed to achieve the 5th awakening would be even more terrifying. For others, the time needed was measured in stellar years. Now there were only 16 years left until the 14th famed mountain would open. If he continued to comprehend the quintessence godly power factor, there wouldn't be much of a harvest in 16 years. Then, let's comprehend the origin source secret techniques. Lu Ming made his decision. There were 9 shackles on the origin source secret techniques. Every time one was unlocked, its power would increase greatly. For some origin source secret techniques, such as the Dominator's Gate and the Tyrannical God Spear, Lu Ming had already awakened them for a long time. After so many years, he had comprehended them more deeply. Perhaps there would be a breakthrough. Let's comprehend the Tyrannical God Spear first. Lu Ming pondered. Lu Ming had used the Tyrannical God Spear the most. Now he had comprehended it the most. Next was the Dominator's Gate. With a thought, the Tyrannical God Spear appeared in Lu Ming's hand. He placed it in front of him and closed his eyes, entering a state of emptiness. His mind and the Tyrannical God Spear became one, and he began to comprehend it with all his might. Comprehending here, his understanding of the Tyrannical God Spear increased by leaps and bounds. However, it was extremely difficult to unlock the shackles on it. Time flew by, 1 year after another. In the blink of an eye, 15 years had passed. There was only 1 year left until the 14th famed mountain opened. At this time, Lu Ming finally had a major breakthrough. I see it. Lu Ming's eyes shone brightly like 2 suns. A miraculous scene appeared in his eyes. 9 chains appeared on the Tyrannical God Spear, locking onto the Tyrannical God Spear like 9 runes, sealing the Tyrannical God Spear. 9 shackles, I see it. Lu Ming's eyes were extremely bright. However, very soon, the other 8 shackles disappeared rapidly. Only 1 shackle was left floating in the air. Slash! Lu Ming shouted. The Tyrannical God Spear vibrated, and a powerful force burst out from the Tyrannical God Spear, slashing at the shackle. This kind of shackle could not be severed by external forces. For example, Lu Ming could not touch this kind of shackle even if he used his divine power or soul power. Only the power of the secret skill of the origin could touch it. Dang dang dang. The power of the Tyrannical God Spear constantly bombarded the shackle. The shackle shook continuously, but it wasn't broken. Dang dang dang. Lu Ming continued to control the origin secret skill to bombard it. This process lasted for 3 hours. Finally, a crack appeared on the shackle. Almost there, almost there. Lu Ming was overjoyed and continued to control the tyrannical god spear. Dang dang dang. With Lu Ming's continuous bombardment, the crack on the shackle became bigger and bigger. 2 hours later, the shackle was finally broken. Boom. Once it was broken, the tyrannical god spear flew up and burst out with a terrifying force. What a powerful force. This force is several times stronger than before. Lu Ming was overjoyed. Once the shackle was broken, it was as if the sealed power of the tyrannical god spear was released. Lu Ming held the tyrannical god spear and casually waved it. The void exploded, and a terrifying whistling sound could be heard. Haha, my strength has increased by another level. Lu Ming was overjoyed. With the tyrannical god spear breaking a shackle, Lu Ming's strength had undoubtedly increased. If he were to fight with Dongfang Ke now, he would definitely be able to kill him easily. Now Lu Ming finally had the confidence to fight with the top 10 mountain masters. He had heard that some of the top 10 mountain masters were extremely terrifying. They had reached the pinnacle in all aspects. In fact, they could have broken through to the Divine Lord realm long ago. But they had been suppressing it. These people had all kinds of terrifying means. It was normal for some of them to have broken the shackles of their origin secret technique. Lu Ming wouldn't underestimate the heroes of the world. Chapter 3449. There's still a year left. Let's study the Gate of Gods first. Lu Ming put away the Overlord God Spear and began to study the Gate of Gods. A year passed quickly. Lu Ming naturally couldn't make any major breakthroughs in a year. He only gained a deeper understanding of the Gate of Gods. Time's up. Lu Ming ended his cultivation and soared into the sky. He left the place and returned to the Dragon Alliance headquarters. Alliance leader, you're back. Many people are preparing to leave. Bowie said. The opening of the 14th famed mountain was a major event in this world. Countless geniuses would gather. Most of the geniuses would rush over, not wanting to miss this rare opportunity. If they could encounter an opportunity inside, they might soar into the sky and rule over a region in the future, becoming the master of a famed mountain. After all, it was only a matter of time before the leaders of the famed mountains left. They couldn't stay here forever, because they needed to make breakthroughs in their cultivation. If they kept suppressing their cultivation, they would miss the golden age for cultivation. It would be a great hindrance to their future cultivation. Therefore, some of the strongest geniuses would have to leave sooner or later. Once they left, the famed mountains were destined to change masters. It would be a chance for others to rise. If they could obtain an opportunity in the 14th famed mountain, their battle prowess would skyrocket. After the other masters left, they could occupy a famed mountain. That would also be a great opportunity. How much could they gain by occupying a famed mountain and staying there for thousands, or even tens of thousands of years? How many primordial divine crystals could they obtain? It was completely unimaginable. Even if they left later, they would still have a large amount of resources to cultivate in the future. It was an endless temptation. However, there were only so many famed mountains. In each era, only a dozen or so people could become the master of a famed mountain. This trip to the 14th famed mountain was extremely important and couldn't be missed. In fact, before Lu Ming returned, many members of the Dragon Alliance had already gone ahead. Let's go. Lu Ming gave the order and led the remaining members of the Dragon Alliance to the 14th famed mountain. The 14th famed mountain was in the southernmost part of this world. It was called the 100,000 volcanoes, which meant that there were countless volcanoes here. As soon as they arrived at this place, waves of heat assaulted their faces. Everyone used their divine power to protect their bodies and rushed into this area. When they went deep into the volcano, an incomparably huge mountain appeared in front of them. This mountain was incomparably huge, even bigger than the other famed mountains. However, the air around the mountain was distorted, as if there were endless waves of fire enveloping the mountain. This was the 14th famed mountain. It hadn't completely emerged yet and was faintly discernible. This area was already crowded with people. At a glance, there were at least a few 100,000 people. Lu Ming. A cold voice filled with killing intent rang out. Lu Ming looked in the direction of the voice and saw a young man staring coldly at Lu Ming. This person was the leader of the Chitong Mountain, Dongfang, Quebec. What? Last time you ran away. This time, you want to die again. I don't mind sending you on your way. Lu Ming sneered. Such big words. Who can you kill? At this moment, another figure spoke up. Another young man appeared beside Dongfang Quebec. This person was also wearing a fiery red robe and he looked quite similar to Dongfang Quebec, alliance leader. This person is called Dongfang Tianke. He is Dongfang Ke's elder brother, and the leader of another famed mountain. They are also the only pair of brothers in this world. Each of them occupies a famed mountain, and he is extremely powerful. He is ranked 6th on the Divine King board. Bowie explained. Lu Ming came to a realization. So he was Dongfang Ke's elder brother. No wonder they looked similar. What? You want to stand up for your brother? Be careful not to become a roasted sparrow. Lu Ming smiled faintly. Kid, I'll spare your life now. When we enter the famed mountains, don't let us see you. Dongfang Tianke said coldly. Of course, he didn't dare to make a move here, as there were other leaders of the famed mountains around. If they attacked Lu Ming, the other leaders of the famed mountains would only benefit from it. Nearby, many pairs of eyes looked in their direction. Lu Ming felt that some of the gazes were as sharp as swords. So many experts. Lu Ming's heart was swept by these gazes. His skin could not help but tighten. These people were a threat to him. That's the leader of the Fiery Mountain. That's the leader of the Dragon Tiger Mountain. Bowie introduced them to Lu Ming one by one. They were all leaders of the famed mountains. Lu Ming remembered them all. Alliance leader, that's the leader of the 6-Min Mountain. He's extremely terrifying. He's ranked 3rd on the Divine King board. You must be careful if you meet him. Bowie whispered to Lu Ming. Lu Ming looked over and saw a young man in a black robe. His black robe was embroidered with all kinds of ghastly creatures. His eyes were like 2 pitch-black whirlpools. He was also sizing up Lu Ming with a strange smile. This person is terrifying. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. This was definitely a top expert.